2018 Triumph Bonneville Speedmaster. The Bonneville Bobber puts on its big boy pants and becomes a worthy successor to the old Speedmaster. Before we talk about Triumph's all-new Bonneville Speedmaster, we must first spend a few moments thinking about the Bonneville Bobber. It's hard to argue with the Bobber. You sort of know exactly where you stand with it. It does it for you, or it doesn't. With a single seat, near zero luggage capacity, and pegs that touch the black stuff without much persuasion, it has a rather myopic take on life. It's probably not any good for track days, nor the best weapon for touring, but it's fantastic for a Sunday blast around the Shires. Going by how many I see being ridden into and out of London during rush hour, it must be good at that too. It's easy to see that the Bobber hit the mark for more people than it didn't. It hit for so many people that it caused Triumph to have to double the factory's output for the UK market alone. The exhaust note and torquey engine tunes sound great, it handles far better than it has any right to, the build quality is decent, and the packaging super clever. About the only thing you could moan about was the compromised tank range, somewhat crashy rear suspension, and a front brake that required a fistful of digits to perform adequately. The looks speak for themselves to the point where I can fully believe a lot of Bobbers are being sold on visuals alone. It comes as no real surprise then that Triumph reckoned it could use the Bobber's platform to breathe new life into the Speedmaster. You'd have to believe that a good number of potential customers out there loved the Bobber's looks, specification, and performance, but ultimately couldn't sign on the dotted line due to its compromises. The Bobber-based Speedmaster is here to address those compromises, and it does so wonderfully. A Bobber in a different outfit? This is all rather curious, because I vividly remember at the Bobber's launch in Madrid that Triumph said that the platform was designed for one seat only. Due to the, admittedly clever, packaging of the shock and its accompanying small amount of travel, modifying the chassis to accommodate two seats would be, quote, hard to achieve. Yet, here's the Speedmaster with two seats. Apparently all Triumph had to do make it possible was to fit a subframe to the back of the chassis and swap out the rear shock for one with a dual spring rate and top-out spring. Therefore the Speedmaster has 73mm of rear suspension travel, and the new shock unit is preload adjustable too. At the front, the non-adjustable forks are fitted with cartridge internals making them higher spec than the Bobbers, but with the same 41mm diameter and 90mm of travel. The Speedmaster's engine is the 1200cc T120mm from the Bobber and Bobber Black in high torque tune, which trades more useful low-down torque for top-end power. That means a healthy 78 pounds-to-foot of torque at 4,000 rpm and 76 horsepower at 6,100 rpm available to your right hand through a 6-speed gearbox with identical ratios to the Bobber. That's an impressive 42% more torque and 25% more power than the outgoing Speedmaster. To slow all this new power down, the Speedmaster borrows the front brake and wheel setup from the Bobber Black. It has a 16-inch front wheel, down 3 inches from the Bobber Black's 19-inch unit, with a pair of 310mm rotors and floating 2-piston Brembo calipers. The rear brake setup consists of a Nissan floating caliper gripping a single 255mm rotor. Anti-lock braking is, of course, standard, and the rubber is courtesy of Avon tires. In an effort to transform the riding position into more cruising-oriented duties, the Speedmaster was fitted with beach bars, fat grips, and foot pegs relocated forward of the crankshaft. The tank is different too, with an increased capacity of just over 3 gallons. This makes the tank visually a bit bigger, and Triumph claims that those 3 or so gallons are enough for a 174-mile range. Spoiler alert, they aren't. Lastly, a number of visual changes complete the Bobber to Speedmaster transformation. Lots of chrome where matte finishes once sat, a nacelle for the LED headlight, a grab bar over the rear fender for a passenger or luggage to hold on to, and 3 new paint schemes, jet black, cranberry red, and fusion white phantom black with some gold and black pinstriping. Whichever you pick, it's only ever the tank that changes color. Overall, is the Speedmaster just a bobber in slightly different trim? Yes, it definitely is. Armed with Triumph's accessory catalog, you can almost turn a Speedmaster into a bobber and vice versa. The only thing you can't do is fit the Bobber Black's 49mm forks to the Speedmaster, or the original Bobber for that matter, due to slight differences in rake and trail. There are a couple of inspiration kits available too, which had a pre-chosen set of options to the Speedmaster. One's called the Maverick, which amusingly does away with the swept back bars and pillion seat, basically forming a bobber with forward foot pegs. The other, the Highway, adds panniers, a big screen, and a backrest for your passenger.